When a president lives in the White House, his time there is illuminated by the spotlight. But where do they go after they leave the White House? From someone like President Obama, the answer is to remain in Washington, D.C. This makes him the first president to do so since 1921. Former President Obama, Kalorama, Washington, D.C. Upon leaving the White House, President Obama and his family moved into a 6.3 million house in the Kalorama area of Washington, D.C. The Obamas, who already own a home in Chicago, will rent the 8,200 square foot property while their youngest daughter, Sasha, finishes high school. Joe Lockhart, who was press secretary for Bill Clinton from 1998 to 2000, owns it. The Obamas' new landlord are leaving Washington, D.C. to accept a position as the National Football League's executive vice president of communications in New York. Former President George W. Bush, Dallas, Texas. According to the Wall Street Journal, soon before his second term as president ended in 2009, George W. Bush acquired a multi-million-dollar 8,500 square foot house in Dallas neighborhood of Preston Hollow. Bush is well known to have a profound affection for his home state. Miller Center at the University of Virginia reports that he and the former First Lady Laura Bush immediately became part of the Dallas neighborhood by throwing barbecues and attending community activities. The family had lived in Dallas from 1988 to 1995 before moving to Austin to live in the Texas governor's mansion. Zillow reports that the typical price of a property in Preston Hollow is $549,500, which works out to $221 per square foot. This is more than the Dallas average of $189 per square foot. Bush and his wife Barbara has been driving their time between Houston and Kennebunkport, Maine, where the Bush family has had the property for almost a century since he left office. The Washington Post writes that the complex became a popular tourist destination in the seaside town once Jeb Bush declared his candidacy for president. Still, locals are said to keep the exact location quiet out of respect for the family, and the Secret Service protects the house. It has been reported by the Washington Post that George and Barbara Bush continue to spend 6 months each year at the complex, where they proudly display the Texas state flag. Bill Clinton. The Clintons purchased an 11-room house in Chappaqua, New York for $1.7 million in 1999 before his tenure ended. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton was preparing to run for the United States Senate. White and barn-like, the Dutch colonial at 15 Old House Lane sits in a cul-de-sac surrounded by trees. Hillary Clinton's campaign offices in Brooklyn were just a short distance away. It's equipped with a pool and 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. According to Trulia's valuation specialists, it would be valued at around $2.7 million. Former President Ronald Reagan, Bel Air, California. After his term as president ended in 1989, Reagan settled down in the luxurious Los Angeles suburb of Bel Air. As the Los Angeles Times reported, it was bought for Reagans by their friends in late 1986 for $2.5 million. After leaving office, Reagan used his Simi Valley, California home to write his memoirs and oversee the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library's development. His property was located northwest of Santa Barbara, and his headquarters were in neighboring Century City. According to the Los Angeles Times, Jerry Perencho paid $15 million in July 2016 for the 7,200 square foot, 2-story home with 17 rooms. Richard Nixon. In 1974, when Richard Nixon resigned from office, he had a home waiting for him in La Casa Pacifica in Orange County, California. He acquired the property, popularly known as the Western White House, in 1969, and the home itself almost became a star after his purchase. Radio signals from the adjacent Coast Guard interfered with the filming equipment, and thus, the famous Frost/Nixon interview had to be moved to the house of a neighbor and supporter. Mr. Nixon moved to a New Jersey suburb after selling the house in the late 1980s. Lyndon B. Johnson. After his presidency ended, Johnson and Lady Bird moved back to the ranch in Johnson City, Texas, where he was born. The building is now a museum and serves as the former president's last resting place. The ranch, nicknamed the Texas White House, began offering tours in 2007 following the former First Lady's death. All of the furnishings and decor are firmly rooted in the decade of 1960s. Jaqueline Kennedy. After her husband, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated, Jackie Kennedy left the White House and went to their vacation residence in Hyannis, Massachusetts. They also had a Virginia mansion named Wexford, finished just before JFK's murder, and where they made their engagement announcement in 1953. According to reports, it was once advertised for as high as $10 million before selling in 2017 for $2.85 million. 3 residences are scattered over the 6-acre waterfront property known as the Kennedy Complex, which is still in use by different Kennedy family members today. Among Jackie's later properties was a $65 million Martha's Vineyard mansion, which was listed for sale by her daughter Caroline in 2019. Jackie also owned a $1.5 million apartment on the Upper East Side overlooking the Central Park Reservoir, which was named in her honor. My mom fell in love with Martha's Vineyard 40 years ago. According to a statement sent to Christie's International Real Estate, Caroline explains that it was the ideal reflection of her passionate and adventurous character when she discovered Red Gate Farm. In 1978, her mother paid somewhere about $1 million for the property. Dwight D. Eisenhower. After leaving public service, Eisenhower settled at a house and farm next to the Gettysburg Battlefield in Pennsylvania. Since 1980, visitors have been able to explore this area as a public National Historic Site. During the Cold War era, the 34th president met with foreign heads of the state there. After its renovation in the early 1950s, the house was given to the National Park Service in 1967. It features a tea house, a skeet range, a putting green, and Angus cattle barns. Harry Truman. In 1953, after leaving the White House, former President Truman moved back into the house he lived with his wife Bess since 1919 marriage, located at 219 North Delaware Street in Independence, Missouri. Bess's grandpa, George Porterfield Gates, acquired the mansion with 14 rooms in 1867. It is now a National Historic Site managed by the National Park Service. We surely won't forget our latest former president, Donald Trump. Since he left his office in January, President Trump has been staying at the exclusive Mar-a-Lago Club. It was built in 1927 by American serial heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post. The massive estate has a lavish gold decor, towering ceilings, and several antiques owned by Post. Trump's Florida neighbors addressed a letter to Palm Beach town officials and the U.S. Secret Service, saying that Trump is breaking a 1993 agreement he made with the town by living full-time at his private social club, Mar-a-Lago. So what do you think? Which of the former president's houses is your favorite? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. If you like more videos like these, remember to activate the notification so you won't miss out on any videos. See you at the next one, fellow luxury lovers.